also like to say a big shout out to Aboagye for motivating me to record a second version. That's like the body of the statement of purpose. I've been putting it away for a while now, but there's Nash helped me to finally record it. Thank you very much, and I'm really grateful. To find the first version, you just have to go to my channel and you're just going to type statement of purpose, and this will give you the introduction. You also have the opportunity to look at some of the statements of purpose I've written for various programs, so you could use those also as examples to identify all the various sections. This helps you to improve your skills. So that's it. Hi guys, and welcome to the next section of writing an effective statement of purpose. In this video, I'm going to focus on the body. If you haven't yet watched the introduction, I suggest you do watch. I'm going to leave it in the comment section, or you can see it on one of the cards that will be rolling around the video. And without wasting much time, let's dive right into it. And if you haven't yet subscribed, kindly do so. Leave a comment and share with your families or networks who might find this video useful. So let's get into it. So in today's video, it will be divided into 4 parts. I'll first start with the structure of a statement of purpose. We'll look at the ingredients of the body of an SOP, and together we'll develop the body of an SOP. We would analyze it and see if this is a good body or not. We'll look at the admissions committee notes, and finally we'll revise our SOP based on what we think is right or not. So the statement of purpose usually has 3 parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And one thing that is common for all these 3 parts is it should be clear and logical. It should flow. It should be like a story. There should be connections between one as you are moving from one part to the other. From the previous video, we learned that our introduction is the place where you clearly state your thesis, which is the main point or the argument of your essay. Once you progress to the body is to serve as the part of the SOP, which provides evidence and examples to support your thesis and to show why you're a strong candidate for the graduate program. One main trick or tip when writing the body of your SOP or writing an SOP in general is it's important you show and not tell. Like, show that if you think you're hardworking, how have you demonstrated the skill of hardworking? And that's one of the things that actually helps you to have a strong document in general. So now let's look at the ingredients of the body of an SOP. It has various parts, and these parts is what you can round up into paragraphs and develop. One part of your body should talk about your academic background, and for this part you could look at the information about your degree and the majors, as well as coursework that are important to the new program you want to apply to. You should also highlight any research experience or academic achievements that are relevant to your graduate studies. You could also have another section for your research interests, but for me personally, I like to put them together. So in this video, for the body, we are going to look at your academic background and your research interests. So for your research interests, you could give an overview of your research interests and goals, and how they align with the research focus of the program you're applying to. You might have so many research experience which might be in various or diverse fields. The keyword is relevant. It's important that you only focus on the ones that are relevant to the program you're applying. You don't have to put everything there, just find the relevant one. You should also describe any research projects or papers you have completed or participated and what you learned from these experiences. If you are applying for a research-based program, you should make more time to explain this in details for the admission committee to know that, oh, this person really has research skills for this kind of program. The other part of your SOP is your work and volunteering experience. For the volunteering experience is dicey. It doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily need a particular section for. You could even include your volunteering experience in your educational experience or research experience if these volunteering experience are related to the program you are studying. If they are not really related, but it's just like social work, you could add it to your work experience and talk about what you learned for that. If the program you're applying for is a professional or course-based program and not necessarily research focused, it's important you develop this section for them to know that indeed you have these skills. So you should have this in mind when you're writing your SOP. The next part is your career goals and future contributions. Most people tend to forget this part. When you are attending a program or when you are attending school, you are going to finish. So why do you want to study this like forward? And both of these should be linked to each other. And whatever you do is supposed to be concise, it's supposed to flow. So the flow, like the idea should be the same thing. It's not like you talk about one thing before you jump to another. Ensure that there's coherence. It's like you are writing a story and all the story, whatever you are saying is linked to one particular goal or one particular thing. And the final part of the body will be a statement of your fit for the program. This is also a section where people tend to ignore. Like for me, for a while, I used to ignore this, but like this is also very important. And this should include a discussion of why you're interested in that particular program and how your academic and professional background and research experience make you a strong candidate. You should also describe any specific skills or qualifications you have that make you a good fit for the program. Why is this important? Academia is a business. You know, like even when you're in school and they are like, when they are doing the rankings, or even let's say you are done with your senior high school or university and they're like, this university is best, we're able to graduate, or maybe other people who graduated had first class and there's other people who graduated with. That's it. So that's how a university works, or that's how academia works. So it's very important for them to bring in students they know will succeed, students who they know they are creme de la creme, students who they know they can boast of. Or like university would be like, oh, our old student is the president of this, our old student is the CEO of this, our old student, and that's how academia works. So for every student they choose, it's because they know that the student has a higher chance of succeeding out of the program. And this is how you should package yourself to make them know that you are part of the creme de la creme. And once they give you a chance, you are also going to bring a good name to the school. So it's like, it's a hand go, hand come situation. Yeah. So this is actually a word in my local parlance, and that's the direct translation in English. It's like, I offer you something because I'm also expecting something from you in the end. So without wasting much time, as I told you, this video will focus on the education and research experience. I will make other videos which will focus on the other part we talked about. So let's look at this. Okay, so for the education and research, these are some of the questions that will help you brainstorm on what to write or what that section should entail. So you could look at your educational background and how does it relate to the program you're applying for. If they are not related, you need to explain why you are diverting. So you have to have a section to explain why you are diverting. What relevant coursework have you completed that has prepared you for the program you're applying to? And to get this, you could just go to the website of the university you're applying to and look at the course content and be like, okay, I was able to do this and this in my undergrad, and this is going to prepare me. I was able to do this in my master's, and this is going to prepare me for the next stage of my life. This is something you can get from their program's website. And if you have poor grades, it's very important to tell them why you have poor grades, because we now understand that it's kind of like a business, so they need good people, they need strong candidates. So you have to explain why your grades were poor and how you were able to solve this issue and to ensure that like when you go to grad school, you are not going to repeat the same behavior. Sorry, not behavior, like this is not going to happen. Yeah. What are some of your academic achievements or honors you have received that are relevant to your graduate studies? What research experience or interest do you have, and how has this prepared you for graduate studies and aligns with the program you are applying to? Have you published any papers or presented presented your research at conferences or workshops? If so, what were the topics and the outcome? Do you have any research or academic experience abroad? So this is also really cool, and that's what people don't know. Like, if you have research experience out of your home country, it means you can adapt to other situations, you can work in other environments. So if you have this, kindly include it, or in diverse or interdisciplinary settings. If so, how did these experiences shape your understanding of your field and your goals for graduate studies? Do you have any specific skills or qualifications that make you a strong candidate for the program you're applying to? Always remember, you are going for your strengths. If there are weaknesses, explain it briefly, but don't dwell on it. Like, it's the past, so we've moved on. Okay, so this was the introduction. This was a summary of the introduction, and the thing is, I made you do an extra work just to make the other part easier. So for the introduction, if you like all the things I've talked about in the body, we wrote a little lines of all these things for our body. So we are going to take those lines out of the introduction and we are going to develop it for our body. So we are not, it's like, if it's, and it's mostly the things in black, the new information we added. So we are just going to bring it to the next section. So we are just going to bring it to the next part and we are going to develop it for our body. So this black, for our education and research experience, I've taken it out of the introduction, and this was it. I've always been interested in renewable energy as a civil engineering student because of its potential to help our nation's power crisis. I gained hands-on experience in this field through internships at a renewable energy company, where I learned about the technical challenges and opportunities it presents. My previous courseworks include classes in energy systems, renewable energy technologies, and engineering economics, and have also completed a research project on the feasibility of using solar power to electrify rural communities in Ghana. So this is what we've taken, and we are going to develop that for our body for education and research experience. So let's see. I made a bit of tweaks, but the whole information is there. So during my 4 years of undergraduate studies at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, I developed a strong interest in renewable energy and its potential to address power crisis. I graduated with a first-class honor, placing me in the top 5% of my civil engineering class. So this talks about where I studied, and also my achievements as well as my interest. I know you'll be wondering, why did I include the 4 years? Wherever you want to study, it's important you understand how the educational system is like and the kind of program you're applying for. So when I was applying for this program, it's a Master 2. It's a second year master's program. In France, the educational system is such that their bachelor's degree is 3 years. So to be able to do a master's, you need at least 3 years. But in Ghana, I did a 4 years. So it's more like I've finished my undergrad and I have done my first year of master's. So to be able to do the Master 2 is either I have a master's already or I have studied for an undergraduate education for 4 years. So that's why I included that, my 4 years of undergraduate study. So they know that, okay, it's more like I've done a 4-year program. And also, why did I include that I had a first class honors, placing me in the top 5% of my civil engineering class? So statistics is very important. Like, you had a first class, okay, but how did you rank in your entire class? And I included this because the program I was applying for, it was a master's in renewable energy in civil engineering. I had no background in renewable energy. The only background I had was civil engineering. So what I wanted them to know was, like, I was somebody who is capable of learning. So when I'm given the chance, I will be able to still succeed, because academically, it shows that I'm a good student. So it doesn't really matter the environment I'm in, I would be able to succeed. So that was why I included this. So you have to consider all these dynamics when you are writing your statement of purpose. Now let's look at the next part. So my studies at Care University, including laboratory work, coursework in subjects such as energy systems, renewable energy technologies, and engineering economics, and research projects allowed me to develop valuable teamwork skills and refine my research and communication skills. These experiences prepared me to tackle complex and important issues. So before I told you, I just looked at and added this part for you to know that what can you include if you have this experience. But mind you, when I was writing that, I didn't have this section because I didn't take these classes. I just added it for evaluation or example's sake. So I looked at the relevant courses and I also talked about the importance. So this experience prepared me to tackle complex and important issues. It shows I'm somebody who can solve problems and can think critically. However, one thing that can make this part a bit stronger is if I show ways I have demonstrated that, but I felt that there were other areas that I wanted to talk more about and not this. So for this, I just wanted them to know that, hey, I have this. I can do this. Just like, yeah. So the next part is where I talk about my research. So I conducted research on using solar power to electrify rural communities in Ghana. So now look at my role, what I did. I performed a detailed analysis of the solar resources, cost, maintenance requirements, and storage options for solar power systems in different regions of the country. I also considered the potential for grid connection and the policy implications of using solar power for electricity generation in rural communities. My research, so this is the findings of your results. So the key findings and the major findings are very important. My research found that solar power is a feasible and cost-effective option for electrifying rural communities in Ghana. So what's the importance? Why do we really need to use solar power in these rural communities? This is because many rural communities in the country currently lack access to electricity, which limits their participation in the modern economy and access to education and healthcare. This is the SDG goals. Everybody, like every country, is very concerned about the SDG goals. So anything that prevents people from accessing these SDG goals is a hot cake in the world. So I link this to the SDG goals. So solar power systems can be installed cheaply. So it's also a cost-effective solution compared to other options such as grid extensions or diesel generators. And Ghana has an abundance of solar resources. So not only did I connect it to the SDG goals, I also talked about the fact that I just didn't stand up and choose solar power. I had looked at other options and I felt that this was actually the best option to use when it comes to the issue of the power crisis we are facing. So this is the body. This is not necessarily the body. This is the education and research experience of the body. Now let's look at what the admissions committee would note, or even for you, let me know in the comment section when you read this, or what are some of the notes you took. So let's look at the positive comments. So they noticed that Barbara has a strong academic performance during her undergraduate studies, which is impressive, and suggests that she's dedicated and a capable student. So as I said, you show, you don't tell. And this can be seen from the fact that she graduated with the first class honors and she was ranked in the top 5% of her graduating class. Her background in renewable energy and civil engineering is well aligned with the goals of the program. So it's a master's in renewable energy and civil engineering. And she has demonstrated a strong interest in this field through her coursework and research experience. So she has that, she's ready to move to the next level. And also, Barbara's research experience on the feasibility of using solar power to electrify rural communities in Ghana is relevant and adds to her application. As I said, relevant experience. It shows that she has experience conducting research and is also interested in addressing real-world problems. The detailed analysis that Barbara conducted as part of her research demonstrates her ability to gather and analyze data and draw meaningful conclusions. So she can perform research, she can take from the start to the end, and when she gets some findings, she's able to understand what these findings also mean. She has research and communication skills, which are important for graduate studies and success in the field. Also, her teamwork skills are valuable for collaborative research and project. Unfortunately, she hasn't demonstrated her, and that's what I talked about, like the fact that I mentioned it, but how did I do it? Like when I was doing this, did I experience any challenges, and how did I overcome it? So if these are your strong points, it's very important you develop it. As I said, these were not really my strong points. These were something I wanted them to just know, but there were other things that I felt were more important. And looking at the number of words I wanted, like I concentrated on that part. So they should let you know that you can't develop everything, but identify what your strong points are and develop those ones. So suggestions for improvement, like there are 2 suggestions I can offer to improve this. If you also have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section. And 1, it would be helpful to provide more specific details about Barbara's research project, such as the method she used, the data she analyzed, and the specific findings she reported. So with this, I already talked about the findings I reported, but like to get into more details. But also, you should consider the length. So you should also consider the information you have available and decide if this is worth doing or not. So she might also want to consider any additional relevant experience or achievement that she has not mentioned in her application. So for the solutions, I can talk about other things you could also add to yours. So that's solution 1. I just would have just added this particular sentence to the body. So specifically, I use the research that you mentioned, the specific research method you use to gather data from. Where did you get those data? And analyze the data using some software. So it also helps to put in the, the software which is actually used in the field. So that's also good. So for the solution 2, to look at other things you could have mentioned as your achievements. Like if you had like internships or core placements, you could write that. If you've done any academic presentation, like you presented your research or other academic work at a conference or a forum, it's very good because this can show your ability to communicate your research findings and engage with others in the field. So like my communication skills I talked about, if you present your work or you've even written scientific articles, this is the showing, not telling. I told you I have this, so maybe I had a paper, it shows that I can do that. I made a presentation on this, it shows I can do that. And also, if you have relevant volunteer or extracurricular activities, so if you've participated in any of these, it demonstrates in the field of renewable energy. It demonstrates your passion for that field. And you might also want to mention these in your applications, so which is also good. So that's what I talked about, the volunteering experience. It depends on if it's linked to the field or not. So that's why I didn't include it at that part. And also your award or recognitions. If you've received award or recognition for your academic or professional work, it's a very good plus to your application. Don't leave all these things hiding somewhere in your box. These are the things that actually make your applications strong. So this is the revised body. I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to show you where I place that part. So after I talked about what I did, I just included it in this part of the general body. I will leave this presentation in my description. You see the useful YouTube resources. I'll leave this in that link. So if you want to download this, you could still have access to it. So if you've got questions, leave it in the comment section. If this video was helpful, let me know. And till we meet again, remember I'm waiting for you, and all the best. And Merry Christmas if you get to watch this on Christmas, or Happy New Year whenever you get to watch this. And to hear from me again. Bye.